Hello and welcome to another edition of Boy Party, the Afterparty. My name is Lucian and I'm joined once again by my regular host, Shane, co-host. Here you are. How are you?
Is this Afterparty number 2?
Afterparty number 2.
Oh, yes.
I'm not numbering them, but yes, we
I was trying to remember what the first one was.
We
First
did
one was
the Marvel ranking with Brendan. Our Afterparty episodes, folks, are where we break format and we, make a list or something of that kind.
Yeah. Because sometimes we need more than just like 3 people to talk about. Sometimes we need 5 plus.
Yeah, and there's some ideas I have for lists that are more exciting done in a podcast format than in a blog post format. So on this occasion, we're going to do... So in the past few seconds, folks, we've decided to change the format of this episode. It was going to be the Best Actor Winner Power Ranking, and now we're going to do the Best Actor Winner Draft. So Shane, explain how this is going to work.
We are going to take turns selecting Best Actor winners from the last 38 years.
From any living Best Actor winner.
Sorry, any living Best Actor.
So there are 38 men eligible in this category. There are some double winners in here, like Robert De Niro, but he's only counting as one person here. So everyone is in here once.
Yeah, so we're essentially going to compile teams.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you, the listener, will come back and say who had the stronger set of movie stars.
So we're going to pick 15 each. And then the bottom 8 will just get left out because they suck, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now this is based on a very specific criteria. This is the power ranking. This is not based on how great of an actor this person has been throughout their career.
This is if a film was coming out
today, how much would this person be getting paid to be in it? Yeah. How much would it make at the box office because they're on the poster?
Yeah.
This is the boy party type criteria for movie stardom. We're basing this on 2024 September. Who are the biggest movie stars? Who commands the most power in the film industry? That all clear to everybody, and you can vote on who is the better team.
Yeah.
After you listen. All right.
Now, do you want to do a coin toss for first, or
we'll do a coin toss for first? Yeah. Let's see if we don't have coin. No, don't take that off. It's covered in juice.
Okay, I won't do that.
Okay. Use that.
Yeah.
That lid. All right. We're tossing a water bottle lid.
Do you want whole?
I want cap? I always want whole. So
always want whole.
Okay. Let's see.
Whole it is.
So I get to go first, and then you get to go.
I get second.
You get second and third.
And then we just continue to alternate.
All right. So I already have my list done in order. Shane
I can see your list.
Shane will. Yeah, Shane knows my list, so he's gonna have to, think a bit harder. My number 1 pick is going to be Leonardo DiCaprio, 2015 winner for The Revenant. That's a movie that made hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office. I think Leonardo DiCaprio is one of, if not the definitive living male movie star. I think he has an ability to bring in audiences to see weird, non-commercial movies like The Revenant, Great Gatsby, the Tarantino movies that he's in massive droves that basically no one else has. He has a level of stardom detached from any franchise or IP that I think is unparalleled. And he can make anything a hit.
And he has as much critical acclaim as anyone else. He gets the Oscar nominations
for everything. I
like
think he's going to win three Oscars in his career easily. Consider that he's still very young. So he's my number 1 pick.
It is the obvious, clear number 1.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So for number 2.
Yeah.
And are we doing this as if this person was cast exclusively as a lead? In our hypothetical,
it's not about what they're cast in, I suppose. It's about how much power do they command right now?
Yeah, how much leverage do they have in the industry?
Yeah, like who right now is begging for crumbs, and who right now could take any project being made that they want?
Okay.
Who is currently?
I'm going to stick to your list a little bit here and go with Denzel.
Wow. Okay, that's fine. He's about to star, of course, supporting role in Gladiator 2.
Yeah, which could...
That movie might live or die on Denzel's being in it.
Yeah, and it could very much be a box office blockbuster for the autumn and also teeter into...
Yeah. But Denzel feels like... Putting Denzel in the movie feels like an insurance policy.
Absolutely.
On Paul Mescal.
100%.
Where they're like, we don't have the big star like Russell Crowe as the young, handsome lead. What if we get one of the most beloved elder statesman actors to be the villain in it.
Yeah. Like, was Russell Crowe at a more advanced stage of his stardom?
I think so. Than Mescal. I think so.
Yeah.
Denzel hasn't been, like, Russell Crowe had already been in The Insider at that point, you know?
Yeah.
I think that Denzel hasn't been in a role like this ever. It's weird. In like 25 years, it's weird. Like, he doesn't do supporting parts ever. Like, it's so unusual. But anyway, yeah, Denzel is a massive star. Those Equalizer movies did huge numbers. So many Oscar nominations under his belt. More to come, sure, and soon, I'm sure. Yeah, good pick.
Okay,
you get third pick as well.
Third pick. I might go for a bit of a wild card here.
Okay.
Go with Daniel Day-Lewis.
And he's retired.
He is retired.
So I think
I think
that's a terrible choice.
We're speaking in hypotheticals here.
Okay, you think it's giving him
Oasis
effect? Sure.
Yeah. I think if he came back and announced he was working with a good director,
yes,
people would freak out. If he came back to do another Paul Thomas Anderson film,
people would freak
tomorrow,
out. Yes.
I think people would be,
even though the last one is a bit of a stinker, but sure.
People
love it, obviously, but
I think the retired element and the fact that he's kind of elusive and isn't a public figure kind of adds.
There's a scarcity there, which gives it value.
Scarcity which gives it value.
Okay,
and it might be like a personal bias of like who I just want to see in something compared to the other guys ahead of him on your initial ranking, but I think it would be a bigger event if he was in a film tomorrow than
fair
a lot
enough
of the other guys.
Like if he was the villain in Gladiator 2, that would be a huge event.
That'd be an enormous event.
Okay, very, very fair enough.
We'll go back to you.
All right, my second choice is going to be... I actually am not sure if I want to stick to my list, but I'm going to. Joaquin Phoenix. Now, Joaquin Phoenix has lost a lot of goodwill since I made this list like a month ago, since he dropped out of the Todd Haynes project, for seemingly having cold feet about gay sex scenes reasons. He is about to open Joker Folie à Deux in a few weeks. Now, those movies are like... The first Joker made $1 billion based entirely off of hype around the Joker and hype around Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker. I think, obviously, Joaquin Phoenix being in like independent dramas does not command the same box office, but I do think that he's got a Daniel Day-Lewis-esque mystique around him now that people really love, and that like the normies have now started to get hooked on post Joker.
Yeah,
where he was for years like a big indie star, and the art house crowd loved him. But now I think a lot of casual film watchers think Joaquin Phoenix is one of the great, interesting, methody actors alive because of Joker. And I think he can do a lot with that if he picks the right projects going forward. And he can probably get himself more Oscar attention and more big money for doing interesting stuff. And he is a great actor. And like we loved him last year in Beau is Afraid.
Yeah.
And I loved him in Come On. I thought Napoleon was fine, but Napoleon did make money, and Napoleon was sold all on Joaquin Phoenix's Napoleon isn't that cool, and it was sold to the Gladiator heads who obviously loved Joaquin in Gladiator 20.
And like you can obviously see that he can sustain one of those things on his own.
Yeah, like he can lead a 3-hour historical epic in a way that very few actors can.
Yeah.
So I give him a lot of credit for that. So he's my second choice. You go next, or
I will go next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm happy to keep going next. Yeah. It's an interesting list because you kind of have to account for the fact that you're keeping it to their current level.
Yeah, exactly.
So like you have guys that won Oscars here in the 70s.
Yes.
Like at the time they might have been the biggest stars in the world. They might still be the most famous people, but like,
they're not.
Their draw tomorrow is just not going to be that much.
There is like the way we are doing this is disadvantaging Jack Nicholson. You know?
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
that's the thing. If we were doing the greatest actors or the biggest stars of all time list, he'd be very high up. But like Jack Nicholson is not working. He has no plans to work, so he's quite low.
Again, like if I'm going with the Daniel Day-Lewis thing, maybe that's a reasonable pick.
I would say the suspension of disbelief there is too much for this game. Jack Nicholson is not coming out of retirement.
No,
Daniel Day-Lewis probably will.
Yeah.
I refuse to accept any reality where Daniel Day-Lewis or Gene Hackman are making another movie. So let's not go there. You know?
Okay. I'm going to go with Cillian Murphy.
Okay.
Bit of a recency bias here, but again, we are playing an up-to-date kind of...
Yeah.
If you're cast tomorrow, is it a big deal? Like he's coming off a Best Picture win for a Christopher Nolan movie. People like him.
Yeah.
He's like not a grating character by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
I think he's good enough to stick his face on the front of a big money-making film.
I know. I think Oppenheimer did well, in spite of him not being an obvious movie star. I think that he built up a lot of goodwill with audiences with Peaky Blinders, which helped with that.
He also had an enormous supporting cast in that.
Yeah,
whereas
exactly.
If it wasn't as strong in the
I think the Christopher Nolan brand, like Dunkirk, made so much money without a star as the lead. So I think you can compare Cillian Murphy being the lead of Oppenheimer to Fionn Whitehead being the lead of Dunkirk much closer than you can to any other Christopher Nolan leads. Like, the movie did well in spite of not having a big star because Nolan's brand is so strong. My thing with Cillian Murphy, and I do think he belongs next on this list because of how hot he is right now, but he has only signed up since his Oscar win to movies that he himself is producing that are like very, very, very niche and inaccessible. He's got this movie, Small Things Like These, coming out in November, which is about Magdalene Laundries. Now, that was shot before Oppenheimer came out. That's a very small scale Irish drama. Then he's got a movie called Steve, where he plays like secondary school principal in the 60s in England who has mental health issues. And then he's doing a movie called Blood Runs Coal, which is kind of Killers of the Flower Moon, but it's about coal mines. And then he's doing the Peaky Blinders movie, which is for Netflix, which just feels like an obligation to like wrap up that whole thing. I feel as though
I'm kind of regretting this pick.
He has no interest in making himself more commercial than he was before he won the Oscar.
No, but I'm just trying to think: is he still within the boundary of his Oscar win, where he would be a commercial success if he popped up as the lead of something?
We're gonna find out in 6 weeks when Small Things Like These comes out whether American cinema goers will go see a small budget Irish drama about the church and state.
Is there any chance that outperforms Banshees of Inisherin?
I'd be very surprised.
Yeah,
Banshees of Inisherin had a very quirky, funny trailer.
Yeah,
Small Things Like These looks very upsetting. So we'll see. So that's your next pick. My next pick is gonna be Will Smith. We have an episode that you have probably heard by now where we talk about how Will Smith's career is on kind of pause outside of a few key franchises. I don't really care. Bad Boys, Ride or Die just did really, really well. And I think amongst a certain demographic, which is, a lot of non-white audiences in the US, especially, Will Smith is still their like number one go-to male leading star. And they love the Bad Boys movies. And I think anything he's in that is Bad Boys adjacent will do extremely well. Anything that involves cops and guns and running around and shooting. I think he will struggle to be in stuff like Aladdin or Independence Day or Hancock going forward. That's a bit more interesting, a bit more broad appeal. I don't know.
Yeah, like I kind of didn't give him enough thought here because I'm overly influenced by the quality of his
of
film.
Course, yeah.
And like he makes a lot, like we discussed him recently, but like he makes a lot of slop that's not very good.
But he gets paid a lot of money to do it.
He gets paid a lot of money to do it, and the films still do well.
Yeah.
So is that not a better indicator of kind of power than...
That's why I think he's still really high up on this list in spite of everything that's happened with him. And I think that the majority of people don't see the slapping incident as a permanent stain on his reputation, which
I feel like the slap was a manifestation of a lot of other issues.
I think so for sure. I think it's just the last straw of me being convinced that he is an absolute nightmare. But there's other guys on this list who are absolute nightmares.
Like Cillian Murphy does not have the bargaining power Will Smith does.
No, he doesn't.
Exactly. In terms of salary,
not at all.
In terms of input, probably into direction of films.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. The interesting thing with Cillian Murphy, I guess, is he being offered Marvel roles for $25 million right now that he's turning down? I would guess yes.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd say they're offering him Doctor Doom type stuff.
Yeah.
Because it would be I think comic book movie fans would go nuts now for Cillian Murphy showing up.
He's got the Nolan seal of approval. Yeah. He always has. He's been in The Dark Knight. He's established as
always been Nolan's guy, But even when he was Nolan's guy, he was still playing the villain in Time and Transcendence. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't quite, doing it for him. Yeah. Anyway, your next pick?
Right. I'm going to stick to the predictable answer here and go Tom Hanks.
Okay. Tom Hanks's thing is like, if he's playing a captain, the movie does well.
That's what
But if he's doing literally anything else, no one's going to watch it.
Yeah, if he's in charge of something.
Yeah. My issue is that he just 2 years ago starred in a Disney Plus original remake of Pinocchio that like 5 people watched. That was one of the worst films I've ever seen. and nobody even knew he was in it. I think the Tom Hanks bubble has gone in a weird shape now.
I think that is more so due to external factors. I think I think if you really wanted, you could make a Tom Hanks movie the biggest movie of the year.
Interesting.
I think he still has it in him in terms of just like a...
Because Here is about to come out.
Yeah, but again, I think that's too much of a...
It's too much of a technical...
That's a Zemeckis thing.
Yeah. It's like too much technical fuckery.
It's too much technical fuckery. Yeah.
But it's the closest thing him and Zemeckis have done to Forrest Gumps in 30 years, where it is a journey through time. It's got a lot of hokey American family bullshit in it. I know it has this gimmick that's going to put people off it, but it is still sentimental in that way where you feel like if they are leaning so hard in this Forrest Gump font and poster style that you feel like it could trick some older people to go to see it.
Like I think if they did, if he like gave in and did a 30-year later sequel of one of his 80s films, I think it would be Beetlejuice numbers.
That's true. Yes, if they did Big 2.
They did Big 2.
Yeah, sure. That's true.
Or Forrest Gump 2.
Yes,
like
people would love it.
People would love it.
He I mean he is beloved by normies, Facebook people, etc. He's obviously got Toy Story going on in the background, which is a constant thing he can go back to.
Even if you like
the Robert Langdon stuff is dead, but was big for a while.
Play a president in a movie or something.
Yes,
like a lead. If
sure.
you give him a...
Yeah.
I don't know who he could play.
I guess he's got the Harrison Ford thing going on. Maybe, where Harrison Ford, who unfortunately isn't on this list, never won an Oscar. Harrison Ford kind of like showing up in Captain America as the president actually does feel like kind of an event.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, cool, they got Harrison Ford.
Oh, you kind of are America's like...
number one guy. Yeah, Tom Hanks still has that. I think Tom Hanks has maybe just now like lost some of his fan base by being too, like, too much of a Democrat. That I think a lot of people now just see... Like, there's a lot of Tom Hanks is a pedophile shit.
Pizzagate nonsense.
Pizzagate QAnon people. Like, he is unfortunately on that short list of American celebrities that every crackpot thinks is a conspiracy. So, I don't know. All right. My next pick on here is Nicolas Cage, who I think is at the highest point in this that he has been in many, many years. He has now become... like the number one draw for really, really fucked up, weird genre films where you can put his name on the poster, and I think it is drawing people in. Longlegs just made a ton of money.
Really?
And I think like for a film that size, it was a huge hit.
Like 50 million.
I don't know. Or... As I said,
for
a film that size, it was a huge hit. Longlegs made 104 million worldwide. Which is really good. And I think that Nicolas Cage is in this. He's doing a crazy performance. He's got a scary look. Is a great marketing tactic. Pig was quite successful. Dream Scenario did okay. The thing where he played himself did pretty well. And I think he isn't going to open a National Treasure 3 to big numbers right now. But I do think in his lane of... A24 neon level kind of weird quirky horrors and thrillers, I think that he is now back in the conversation for like will get people to go to the cinema in a really exciting way because he's surprising and he's always got something new to provide.
He is, but does he have the kind of has he gotten over the stigma of being kind of like silly and like he's
people have embraced that now.
He has, but he's kind of the top guy in like tier 2 blockbuster level.
Sure.
Cinema.
I think that's what we've moved into here on this list.
Yeah.
I think the tier 1 guys are done now.
Tier 1 guys
I think that he is...
First
yes, you're right. You're right. Like, he is still, not taken seriously by most people.
Like,
but I think
he's doing big studio films.
He is because something that just came out was a studio film, and I'm forgetting what it was.
Dream Scenario or something.
What was he just in that I'm forgetting? Sorry, folks. Give me a sec. Because I know something just came out where people were like, oh, this is his first studio film in so many years. It might have been the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I'm not sure.
Oh,
that was Lionsgate, so I don't personally count that as a studio film. The Croods movies. Renfield. That was the one. Renfield was a big Universal... like $80 million budget, and he was the lead of that.
Was he?
No, he actually wasn't.
No.
But he was the selling point of the marketing was that he was playing Dracula.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. He's
He's currently
he's devoted to the weird attraction.
He is about to star in a Spider-Man detective TV show with Brendan Gleeson.
Okay.
But the fact that Brendan Gleeson is playing the villain opposite Nicolas Cage, that makes it feel like a authentic thing to me.
Yeah, something seems a lot more real when you convince two guys.
Yeah, like if you've got a recent Best Supporting Actor nominee playing the villain in your show, I think it's a real show.
Sure.
Yes, Nicolas Cage has a lot of junk on his IMDb right now that he's currently filming, but I think that he's still transitioning out of his Redbox era, and he just needs like a couple more years before he's like totally done with that and goes back to being a real actor.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, that was my next pick.
Okay. Let's see.
So we're currently on, Shane has 4 picks so far, and I have 3. We need to get up to 15, so we're going to have to...
No.
Yeah.
I think... I'm not sure what level of goodwill this guy has left.
Okay.
But I might go with Rami Malek.
Interesting. Crazy choice.
Yes, but I think he's young enough. He's weird enough that I think he has the Joaquin Phoenix effect where you could probably base a historical epic 2 hours long on him.
Interesting. Okay. I'll believe it when I see it. The issue with Rami Malek for me is that he is a TV star who was the lead of a USA Network show that got less and less ratings as it went along, who was just happened to look and sound like one famous guy and was in one massive hit, and there'll never be a role for him as convenient as Freddie Mercury again. Yeah. And you can bring back Joaquin to do a Joker sequel. You can't do Bohemian. You can't do Bohemian Rhapsody.
Like I'm giving some weight to the Bond stuff as well.
Yeah, but people didn't like him in that movie.
Okay.
You're stuck with your choice now.
I am stuck with my choice.
I don't think that's a good choice. I think he's good in Oppenheimer because he's in it for 3 minutes. I think he's terrible in Bond, and nobody liked him in that Bond movie. And I think that he hasn't been in anything else of note in the last 5 years.
I'm confusing not being in anything with a sense of prestige and scarcity. Like
there's no scarcity around Rami Malek.
No.
People just aren't hiring him because he's annoying.
Okay.
All right. My next pick is Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Robert De Niro still is a fucking he's like almost better than he's ever been the last couple of years. He's so good in Killers of the Flower Moon.
One of his best.
I think that having him in that was a huge selling point for people on top of DiCaprio. And I think that he is, he does too many stupid movies. He does shit like The War with Grandpa. He also spends a lot of his time just on TV giving out about Trump, which is kind of a waste of his time. Like he's one of our greatest living actors. He should be doing better stuff. Mm-hmm. But he's got a movie coming out next year from Barry Levinson, who obviously directed, well, I might be wrong here. I think he directed Analyze This and Analyze That. I don't know. He definitely directed, Rain Man and such. And De Niro is playing twin mobster brothers in it.
Yeah.
And it's called like Wise Guys. And he's playing the 2 mobster twin brothers who are feuding with each other. And I think that sounds like it could be a moderate sized hit. Mm-hmm. Because I think young and old audiences like the idea of Robert De Niro doing his Meet the Parents thing on, plus his Goodfellas performance in a comedy, in a new broad comedy. So I think he's got a lot of goodwill with people of all ages. And he's a great actor.
I agree. Yeah, that would have been a better pick than the last one.
All right, who's your next pick?
Who is my next pick? Anthony Hopkins.
Yep, that's a good pick.
Yeah. Just has been a reliable guy the last few years.
Sure. I mean, one of his best performances was in the last 4 years in The Father, for which he obviously won his Oscar. I think his choice of projects isn't great. He's like he makes a good few like boring historical period dramas that no one cares about, like One Life. But
I think he's very bankable.
He is.
He's consistent.
I trust that he's never going to be bad and stuff.
Yeah.
And I know if I watch a film with Anthony Hopkins in it that he's going to deliver in a couple of scenes, if not more. So yeah,
I think of all the guys on this list who are in his like age range, I think he's got the most juice.
He does. He's definitely working the hardest and giving the most spirited performances of anyone older than De Niro on here. Like, so yeah, good choice. My next choice is Brendan Fraser. I think Brendan Fraser has basically not been in a movie shot post the Oscar win yet. Yeah. So the next thing he has that feels like a real movie that is a post-Oscar Brendan Fraser performance is going to feel like a big deal. Just from thinking now, I think what that movie is going to be the Andrew Scott movie Pressure, where he plays Eisenhower. And it's about the Andrew Scott plays the guy who had to do the weather forecast for D-Day, so it's like Oppenheimer for weather. And Fraser is playing Eisenhower, and it's about those two guys bickering and arguing over the weather and D-Day. And I think that that's going to be a great performance, like a great role for Brendan Fraser that people are going to really fuck with if that movie is good. Unfortunately, in the meantime, he is popping up in like an Amazon Prime original with Peter Dinklage and Josh Brolin next month called like Friends or Brothers or something.
Yeah.
In like the 5th lead, but I don't know what he's doing in that. But I think that people, I don't think he didn't win the Oscar for no reason. I think people really, really, really like him and want him to succeed. And if he does something that looks like a authentic project, people will like show up for it.
Okay.
You're not convinced.
We're getting...
Fine.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know if Brendan Fraser has the juice or like... All right. I have no more comments on Brendan Fraser.
Okay, fine. Keep going. I'm on 6 and you're on 6 right now.
Yeah. Okay. I'm skipping some...
Okay.
Down the list a little bit here.
Yeah.
For Colin Firth.
Okay.
And
what's your take there?
My take there is that I think for a certain type of role, Colin Firth is still the first person you go to.
Yes.
I think he is still kind of the face.
He's the first person you go to.
He's the first person you go to.
Yeah.
I still think Colin Firth is still kind of the number one name and ideal of like a specific, not even specific, but like a generic...
A shape of man.
A shape of man.
Yeah.
A type of Englishness.
Sure.
That I think if you have like an English period drama, I think getting Colin Firth in it is like a big deal.
If you're making Operation Mincemeat, that shit is not getting made without Colin Firth.
No.
He's sort of the Anthony Hopkins of his generation in that sense.
Yeah.
If you need an 80-year-old English guy to be your lead, you go for Hopkins. And if you need a 60-year-old, you go for Firth.
Like, I'm not sure what kind of roles you were going to two people first and then getting to Colin Firth to play.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. That's a good point.
Which I think gives him a bit of... Which I think gives him a bit of leverage within his niche that...
He is the best at what he does. Yeah. The only person he competes with, obviously, is Hugh Grant. They are sort of, friends and rivals. I think
he's gone off the deep end of... Now he's doing like...
He's doing... Now, Hugh Grant...
shit. Like,
well, no, Hugh Grant now is like a fucking Nicolas Cage type.
He is. He's in
He's a Twitter head that people think is really good fun because he's weird. So he's showing up in Heretic and like Blumhouse and A24
I just find him
and
a bit annoying though.
Wonka. He is annoying. He leans into being a meme personality too much.
Yeah.
Whereas Firth has just stayed boring, but like has not done anything to make people dislike him.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone has come in and swooped in and taken the Firth.
No.
Bit.
No, they haven't. And I think if they do a Mamma Mia 3 or anything of that ilk, instantly, or another Bridget Jones where he pops up, I think people will instantly fall in love with him again for another few years and he'll get more goodwill.
This is going to be a silly take, but I think he is like low tier British equivalent of DiCaprio.
I guess. The only thing different now is that he did TV, which kind of like lessened his...
Yeah, sure.
He did The Staircase on HBO, which was... And like he didn't win any awards for it or anything. It was kind of only a moderate
I'll forgive
success.
anyone that tries the HBO thing.
Sure, but it was only like a kind of a mid-tier success, so it didn't really do much for his career. But I think that's a good choice. All right, we've talked about him enough.
Yeah.
Okay. My next choice is going to be... I'm going to go off my list here, even though I don't know why I made some of these choices. I'm going to go Al Pacino next. Al Pacino makes a lot of shit that no one has ever seen. He's in movies like Manglehorn and The Whackness and or not The Whackness, I can't remember what it's called. He's in movies like the Danny Collins, but he's still, when he's working with a Scorsese or with the big director, or even when he's doing his little Barry Levinson HBO movies about various serial killers, I think that Al Pacino is still the, shorthand for great dramatic actor who's going to go big. And I think that carries a lot. And I think he has the potential for another Oscar win up his sleeve because everyone knows that his first Oscar win was illegitimate, basically, for fucking Scent of a Woman. And then he missed out on the Godfather Oscar. Yeah. I think that he will get a pity second Oscar if he stays working for another 7 or 8 years. which I think he will because he seems in amazing health. He's still fathering children. So I think Pacino's great. I love him. He's such a fun personality to have around in the world. And I think he has more good work to come. So
yeah.
Is he a movie star? Probably not. But
I feel like he's verged slightly more into the tier more so than De Niro of we get him as insurance to put alongside someone else.
I know.
Whereas De Niro, I think, can, like, I guess he's kind of doing that in Joker and Killers of the Flower Moon, but he's kind of doubling up with another star as an equivalent rather than as a...
Sure. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, like, he's high up on the list for a reason, and I was thinking about him. But
there's no one in the entire world who hasn't heard of Al Pacino as well as the thing, you know.
Yeah,
he's got the Scarface poster on the walls level of just like he's Homer Simpson famous. Like,
is he irreplaceable? If you want him in a role.
I mean, there's an interesting thing now where basically directors are trying to test run Adam Driver and Oscar Isaac in every Pacino De Niro part.
Yeah.
You know, like Coppola is putting Driver in Megalopolis because those guys are too old to be in it. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to me. And I'm on board to watch what happens. I don't think Oscar Isaac is going to be the next Pacino or De Niro. I think Adam Driver is a whole other type of thing.
Yeah.
But he can do those big performances the way that Pacino can, but in a totally different way. Anyway.
What are we up to now? 7 or 8? We've 7 each?
We've 7 each, yeah.
Okay, 3 more.
Well, we were going to do 15 each, but we can cap it.
I think 10 is enough.
Let's do 10. I think all right, okay.
10 is an easier list to analyze.
Yeah, I'll be more particular with my choices then. All right.
Yeah. Okay. I am going to go with Jamie Foxx.
Okay. Host of Name That Tune. Beat Shazam.
Yeah. I think a lot of the arguments you made for Will Smith apply here on a smaller scale.
Okay.
Where
much smaller scale, I would argue.
Where I think he probably has an established fan base that will turn up.
He does, and people like his music, and they like him as a social media personality.
He's got a multiple quadrant brand around his name at this stage.
Yes,
where he's got his TV, he's got his music,
he's got his comedy.
He's got his comedy.
Yeah, his daughter is now famous as well.
He's reaching every sector of the industry, and again, I'm giving him a slight. He's got like specific talents in terms of just like being able to sing on screen and stuff that I think makes him a bit more of a unique character.
Sure. And I'm interested in what he'll be like when he's in his 70s and he looks old. He's looked the same for 30 years, which has made him an uninteresting actor because there's never been a change in the types of roles you're putting him in.
But again, we're only applying this to tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll be discussing him on Boy Party soon, I think.
Yeah.
So
I think he's got juice to lead a film on his own, a studio film on his own.
The last film he led was a movie called Sleepless that you've never heard of, which is like a thriller with him and Michelle Monaghan.
I am unfortunately equating not hearing of stuff with he's just taking a break.
No. These guys are in crap.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm going to be more careful with my next pick, knowing that I only have 3 picks left. So I'm going to go with... there really aren't that many good picks here. I'm going to be weird. I'm going to skip way down my list just to be a sicko. I'm going to go with Jeremy Irons.
Right.
Jeremy Irons has been a supporting actor now for many, many years. He does not lead movies. The closest he's come is being in The Man Who Knew Infinity with Dev Patel, but he is about to be the lead of Neil Jordan's new film with him and Helena Bonham Carter, and it's being shot in West Cork and where he lives. And I feel as though Jeremy Irons could inherit the Hopkins belt when Hopkins dies.
Okay.
That Jeremy Irons is kind of universally agreed, excellent actor. He is a bollocks, but he's a great actor. And people might start to rely on him to play the old, important English guy when they no longer have Anthony Hopkins, Ian McKellen, Derek Jacobi. They're all going to die. They are a generation older than Jeremy Irons. And then he might become the most valuable old English actor alive. He won his Oscar in 1990 for Reversal of Fortune, so it's been a long time. I think most people forget he has an Oscar, but he does. So I'm putting him on my list just to be a sicko.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, we're getting tough here now.
Yeah.
I don't know how much weight I should give to your original list because, like,
you should have probably jumbled up my original list.
Yeah, but I think it's worth having a predefined sense.
Sorry, I have an important change to make to my list, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Change this list.
Ignore me. Just keep going.
Okay. Like, is someone missing?
No. As in, I disagree strongly with a choice I made a few weeks ago, and I'm going to amend it with my next pick.
And it's someone who hasn't been picked.
Someone who hasn't been picked.
Okay.
I'm going to amend my choice.
You want to move them up or down?
I'm not telling you.
Okay.
I want you to make your next pick, and then I'll do.
It's not fair because you have information I do not.
Just make your next pick.
Russell Crowe.
Right. Star of that movie where he plays an angry guy. What's it called? The movie where he's driving around and he's angry. It was the only film that came out during COVID. It came out in like June 2020.
Stuber.
I'm gonna look up Russell Crowe angry driver movie. Unhinged. Where he plays a guy driving a car who gets really angry. Russell Crowe.
Now, I think Russell Crowe could almost do what Nicolas Cage is doing now, if he wanted.
Yeah, maybe. He did The Pope's Exorcist.
Yeah.
Which was like okay and well received, I would say. He needs to be a little bit more camp with his...
Yeah, like The Nice Guys is the ideal.
Perfect. Great role. Great casting.
Yeah, but again, I don't think that comes around that often.
No. He's now like a big, heavy, boozy Australian man.
Yeah.
Which he didn't used to be. There's no roles for a guy like that, but he needs to create them, you know?
Yeah, like he can't just be like Captain Boomerang.
No. He needs to find projects where they can turn a role intended for a different type of actor into a role for an overweight Australian man.
Yeah.
Because that's where Russell Crowe can fit in perfectly.
Now, I'm wondering how much this applies to the parameters of our game, but will he get a little bit of a boost in his like search engine appearance frequency due to Gladiator 2 coming out?
No, I don't think so at all.
Russell Crowe is not going to be in the public conscious a little bit more because Gladiator.
I don't think so, because I think Denzel being in that movie is going to keep all those people distracted.
Okay.
I think if it was a Paul Mescal only movie, I think people would be like, "Where's Russell Crowe? We miss Russell Crowe." But the thing is, having Denzel in it is going to
makes it a different film.
It's going to satisfy all of the people who will miss Russell Crowe.
Yeah, because you're not explicitly moving downwards.
No, you're moving
laterally,
pivoting lateral generationally. So I think you're fine. All right, my next pick, which is the one I forgot to pick. Basically, this is somebody I had at the bottom of my list, near the bottom of my list when I made this list a few weeks ago, and now I'm moving him right up. Adrian Brody. Yeah. Adrian Brody, when I made this list, was a fucking failed TV character actor who won an Oscar 20 years ago. Fuck. In the past 3 weeks, Adrian Brody has become the star of the most anticipated film of awards season, The Brutalist, Brady Corbett's new film, where he plays a Hungarian architect who escapes the Holocaust. Strong murmuring amongst the awards community that he is going to definitely get nominated and potentially win his second Best Actor Oscar in 2025. I don't know how Adrian Brody managed to claw his way back to being in the Oscar conversation, given that all he's done in the last 20 years is be kind of annoying and creepy and be in shit like Poker Face and the Houdini miniseries, but and Wes Anderson, I guess. But he's back.
Yeah, he snuck into. Was not Asteroid City.
He's in them all. He's not in Asteroid City, but he's in most. French Dispatch.
Yeah. And he snuck into Succession there for a while.
Oh, I forgot he was in Succession. Oh, I totally forgot. That helped. I completely forgot. He's great in that episode with all his layers. I mean, I like him.
Same.
He's probably the only major leading man who has as weird of a nose as I do. He makes Adam Driver look like a fucking normal face. Like
I think I was thrown off by your placement of him on the list, where I was like, he was in my head as being someone who seemed more relevant than people on the list above him, but I was like, you must have him down that low.
I put him down that low, forgetting that he was in Succession and not knowing about The Brutalist. So ignore me. He's now on my list. I'm very happy having him there. I think he's going to be number 5 on this list in April next year.
Yeah. Okay.
We will have to talk about him soon. I think we should do the Darjeeling Limited soon because it's him and Schwartzman and Owen Wilson. It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
Okay.
Up to number 9 or 10 now?
You have got you've got 8 picks, so this is number 9.
I don't have to pick 2 more.
No, you have 9. Sorry,
I have 9.
Yeah, this is your 10th pick and your final pick.
Okay.
And we have how many left? 19 people left to pick.
Should I Should I just go with the wild card of Jack Nicholson?
I think, as I've already said, that it would be a terrible choice. I think Jack Nicholson is never working again.
But that's kind of...
By the rules of the game, he's useless.
That's not the rules of the game at all.
All right. Go with Jack Nicholson if you want to.
In hypotheticals.
Go with Jack Nicholson then. So you're gambling on the idea that he comes back and makes another movie.
Not gambling. I'm saying...
The
in my head, it's a certainty that he is. And what happens when he does.
Sure. Okay.
I feel like I'm unhappy with some of the picks I made, so I'm taking the high variance, wide margin of error pick.
All right.
Jack Nicholson.
All right. We're giving you Jack Nicholson as your last pick. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, as we've said recently, or as I told you recently, he was speculated to be in a remake of the German movie Tony Erdmann with Kristen Wiig for a while, and that was going to be his comeback, but that was about 5 years ago. That isn't happening, and I think now he's just too old. I don't think he's no interest in doing another movie. Be fun if he did, though, but I don't think he's going to. If he comes out of retirement, it'll be for like Alexander Payne or something. I don't know. All right, your 10th pick is Jack Nicholson, and I am now up to... I have one more as well. Will we read out who's left before I pick my final pick?
No, I think you should pick.
I'll pick first. All right. I am going to go with Gary Oldman.
Okay.
Because Slow Horses is pretty popular right now.
Yeah.
He was at the Emmys the other night. I saw a lot of clips of him being interviewed popping up on Instagram and TikTok. I think people really like Gary Oldman. I do not like Gary Oldman, but people do seem to really like Gary Oldman. I think when he shows up in Oppenheimer, it's a real like, whoa, Gary Oldman, in like a kind of a people like and recognize Gary Oldman way that a lot of actors don't have. And I think that he can probably pull another Darkest Hour level hit out of his ass if he plays another big, impressive historical figure. Also, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy was a huge hit, which is a film where the poster is literally just his face. I think that there is a lot of love for Gary Oldman. Right. And people do think of him as a great actor. Like, I know in Alec Baldwin's book, he says he thinks Gary Oldman is the greatest actor alive, which is a crazy opinion to me. But I think there is a lot of respect for him. So I think he is the best of what's left on this list. He is the best choice.
I think he's better than some of what we've picked already, to be honest.
Sure.
Like, he's got the franchise recognition.
He does. Yeah. I mean, he's got Harry Potter and Batman, and that's more than most people have, you know. So,
but again, I think he's someone who relies on a specific type of role, as in
that are hard to find.
Churchill type.
Or greasy guys with beards like he is, you know.
Yeah.
He's so greasy. Like, he's one of the greasiest men around. Like, all right. My picks: Leonardo DiCaprio, Gary Oldman, Joaquin Phoenix, Will Smith, Nicolas Cage, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Jeremy Irons, Adrian Brody, and Brendan Fraser. Your picks: Denzel Washington, Daniel Day-Lewis, Cillian Murphy, Jamie Foxx, Russell Crowe, Tom Hanks, Anthony Hopkins, Rami Malek, Colin Firth, and Jack Nicholson. Yeah, we both got some good names and some weird names in there.
Yeah.
I would say your lows are worse than mine.
Absolutely. 100%.
I'm perplexed by the Rami Malek choice.
In hindsight.
And I would say that the Nicholson and Jamie Foxx choices are ones I would never have made.
Really? Okay.
The only one on my list that I think is like explicitly peculiar is Jeremy Irons. I think the rest of them kind of make sense.
I ever would have.
I pulled him up from much lower on the list, to be fair.
Like there's some of those guys where in a hyper specific setting, sure. But
let me run down who's left that we didn't take.
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey. There's nothing happening there. I
don't think so.
He's about to become a Yellowstone guy for the rest of his career, I think.
Yeah.
Michael Douglas just did a Benjamin Franklin show on Apple, and it had no juice. Nobody was excited about it. He's also like seems like a massive Zionist. Like I'm not a fan. Jeff Bridges, love the guy. TV star. He's got a TV show now that people like. He's not a movie star anymore. Casey Affleck, we've discussed recently. He's not leading films anymore.
The Instigators didn't
do anything for him. Sean Penn literally just brought out a streaming movie with Dakota Johnson called Daddy-O that nobody watched.
God, Daddy-O, yeah.
Forrest Whitaker is a TV star.
He's a supporting actor.
He's a supporting actor in movies, lead in TV. Eddie Redmayne is just very widely disliked. I think people really don't like him anymore. His whole thing died with the 2010s. Robert Duvall is probably going to die any day. I love the guy, but his last major role in a movie was The Judge, and we need to accept that and move on. He's about to die. Ben Kingsley is, I think, now firmly in supporting actor territory. I don't know what's going to happen with him that would make him bounce back as a big name, but I think things are
like, if he's the lead of a film, you're getting Bank of Dave level stuff.
Yeah, like he's when fucking Hopkins says no and Gary Oldman says no, you end up with Ben Kingsley. Like, Roberto Benigni now is just on his like fourth Pinocchio remake over in Italy. We don't need to worry about him.
No.
F. Murray Abraham is like popping up in the odd Wes Anderson for 5 seconds, if even. Not much going on there.
From 1984.
Jeffrey Rush can like get the bank if they do Pirates 6 and they need him to come in for 10 minutes. But I think otherwise, like, he got his supporting actor nomination for The King's Speech in the last 15 years, in which he is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's another role for Jeffrey Rush that's going to make him like pulling in the audience. Him getting a Best Actor Oscar was kind of inexplicable to begin with.
Yeah.
He's a supporting actor, and that's fine. Dustin Hoffman is semi-cancelled. He is about to be in Megalopolis. He has the and in Megalopolis, but also...
I thought about him, but I was like...
Most people don't know about the being cancelled, but I also think he hadn't made an impact on anyone in 10 years when he got cancelled. Like, Megorium's Wonder Emporium to Meyerowitz is a 10-year gap in which Dustin Hoffman is not making much of a splash.
No.
And I think by the time...
Both of them are great.
They're both great, but by the time Meyerowitz comes out, people aren't interested in what he's up to. Gene Hackman is definitely never working again. He, unfortunately, probably has 1 or 2 years left at best. John Voight is an absolute piece of shit.
Yeah.
He's in Megalopolis. He was in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
That says everything.
I don't think
That's
that he's
just a film wrap.
He does a lot of like conservative crap straight to VOD. I don't think that anyone apart from Coppola is going to be hiring him anytime soon. Jean Dujardin does have a lot of star power in France.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have given him more credit for that.
Sure, we're giving it to him now.
But he does not work in Hollywood, so there's no point worrying about him. We're never going to have to think about him. He only works in France making movies called like Le Pinus, where he plays like a spy who likes to take his clothes off. Like, and then our final two choices. Finally, we've got Kevin Spacey and Richard Dreyfuss. I have put Richard Dreyfuss dead bottom of this list.
Yeah.
The difference between Richard Dreyfuss and Kevin Spacey is that like Kevin Spacey can at least show up to an event in Italy, be given a medal and be nice for an hour and pretend everything's normal. Richard Dreyfuss shows up and he starts like shaking and going red in the face and like throwing his hands around and screaming about trans people. So Richard Dreyfuss is never going to work in a studio film again. Neither is Kevin Spacey. But Kevin Spacey has like a sicko fan base of like abuse apologizers that I feel like Richard Dreyfuss does not even have. So Richard Dreyfuss has nothing going for him. His career is so done. So those are the guys we didn't pick. That's the end of this. Hope you enjoyed our Best Actor winner draft.
I'm not confident. Okay, I'm gonna.
The great thing about this format is that we can do 3 more anytime we need. We got the actresses, the supporting actors, and supporting actresses. The supporting actor one is going to be a hoot.
Absolutely.
Would you believe that I've already done all of my lists?
Of course you have.
My number 1 choice for my supporting actor, Denzel Washington.
Really? Oh, he has a supporting Oscar.
Some of the guys in the supporting actor list: Brad Pitt, Robert Downey Jr., George Clooney, Christian Bale.
That's where the money is.
Robert De Niro, Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Christopher Walken, Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah. All right. We'll do that another time. Thanks for tuning in to the After Party.
We'll put a poll up on the story, I guess.
Yeah, I'll put a poll up. Real episode dropping in a couple of days. Looking forward to that. Visit boypartypod.com or follow Boy Party Pod on social media. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye.